Hello. Let's see. Maybe we're still not live on YouTube. Give this one more minute. All right, there we are. Hello, and welcome to another Amplifying F Sharp session. Today, I'm your host, Jimmy Bird. I'm going to be doing a little bit of coding and doing all the hosting myself today. So I'll probably be jumping around a little bit more often than I usually am. Let's go ahead and share my screen. Wrong screen. There we go. So, do a little bit of housekeeping first. And it's like, what is amplifying F sharp? Amplifying F sharp is a initiative to uh, have more people contribute to the F sharp ecosystem. Um, you can come and look at all the sessions that we've done previously by coming to amplifyingfsharp.io, going over to their sessions. We've got, oh, today is 69. That's pretty nice. A And we also have ways of allowing you to join us as well. If you click the join us button, you can also say like what kind of session you want to submit, and we just ask for some information so we can schedule for you, and also kind of like what project do you want to actually work on. Let's see, did Zoom decide to go somewhere else? Zoom decided to go somewhere else. There we go. There's our chat window. All right. So, what are we working on today? So, the session that I wanted to do today is supporting script files in the F Sharp Analyzers SDK. And so, the F Sharp Analyzers SDK, if you're not too familiar, is a community supported version of analyzers. People in the C Sharp community are familiar with Roslyn analyzers. F Sharp does have analyzers as well, and it's been a community project for, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years. I forget when Christoph actually started it. It's been quite a while. There's also been another community-driven project called F Sharp Lint. This is also a analyzer-like project. Really, the difference between these two projects, I'll go to the project here. Really, the difference between these two projects is F Sharp Lint is all the batteries are included in this project, whereas analyzers is you can write your own. If you wanted to do something with F Sharp Lint, you would have to contribute a pull request to this, whereas the F Sharp analyzers is here's the core pieces that you need to know how to write your own analyzers, and you can bring your own analyzers. So you don't even have to, publish them anywhere technically. Some of the, if you wanted to find examples of analyzers, we also have some analyzers in the inode repo itself. We provide a bunch of different analyzers here. These analyzers, you can come through and look at the different types of suggestions. There's some suggestions, one's particular style and performance. So these kind of give you a good idea of where to look to see some of your analyzers. G Research also has some analyzers. Let's see if I can find these. Pretty easy. Hopefully, look at that. So G Research also has a really good set of analyzers as well. And both of these projects are still maintained to this day. One of the main problems right now with F Sharp Lint is it's looking for maintainers and hasn't really gotten a lot of love in a while. But both of these projects are good for having a set of analyzers. But one of the things that's kind of an oversight is the analyzers only supports projects currently. And so if we wanted to actually look at some of our docs, to run an example is when you do a .NET run, you have to pass in project to which project you want to run or which projects. You can actually pass a list of projects, more or less. And you can also pass the analyzers that you want to run. And in this case, we're just running something locally, but there's various ways to use the NuGet analyzer or use your NuGet packages from the analyzers to get at it. We also have documentation on doing all of that. With that kind of preface out of the way, I guess I'll just bring up the code. So I did pull down the code and made sure to build, so I'll just run it again just to make sure. And of course, we're always getting some type of warning, something new always pops up, right? But we're not going to worry about a warning today. So we're going to kind of look at what it's going to take to change and make this work. And so the first place I'm going to start looking at is the F# Analyzer CLI project. This is because this is the entry point into running this with our CLI tool. And when we come into here, we can look at the very top here and we have a list of arguments. And this is probably where I want to start actually, is looking at, we have a bunch of arguments that we want to support. One of them is project. And it looks like this is kind of where we want to look at, see where does this end up getting used. So down here, we actually get a list of projects. And so we have, let's see if we can find, if I do a call hierarchy, this might actually give us the ability to see the navigation paths. So then we can come down here and see that this is used down here to kind of figure out which things to run. This is an interesting pattern match. So when we get the project options, we also have, looks like we only let you either run project options or FCS args. Let's go look at like what FCS args it does, because I don't know off the top of my head. FCS args, this thing is past the FCS raw compiler arguments cannot be compliant with the project flag. Interesting. So there looks like there's two modes to run the F# analyzers currently, and that is the way of using a project. And so you can pass in a project and it will actually try to do the project cracking for you. Whereas if you use the FCS args, you're kind of living in the MS build space already, and it's running, it's already done the project cracking. So the, how should I word this? The the difference here is if you're running like .NET Build, for instance, MS Build is already doing work for you. And once you've gotten to the FCS arguments, you could basically run these analyzers after the .NET Build part. So you could potentially create a target. Like one of the things that I know that we do is we have a MS Build target here. And these are some targets that will automatically run analyzers for you. But you could potentially, looks like we don't want you to run after a build, which is something that we probably could do. We might want to support that in the future. Someone want to submit a pull request for that. But the idea here is that instead of passing in a project, you could potentially say after the FCS core compile step in the MS build targets, I would want to run with my F# compiler flags. This would actually be a performance boost because the downside to running the project is that means we have to actually invoke MS Build ourselves. So if you're already living in MS Build and you already have access to project information and F# compiler arguments, it's a big performance boost rather than doing the work again. Because as we'll see, go back to references here. There's a load projects call here, and this is essentially invoking MS Build at some step. But if we look at kind of what's going on here, this looks like similar to what we want to do here. We get some results, which that's a mouthful. An option of a list of a result of list of analyzer messages or analyzer failures. Interesting. And so after load projects, this runs asynchronously, does this. Interesting. Oh, actually, so now we have the run project. So we have run FCS args and we have run project. And so for every one of these projects, once we load the projects, we want to run project, which makes sense. So if we wanted to support script files, we would probably have to interject somewhere in this region, it looks like. Let me go ahead and maybe, I'm guessing we'd want to be able to potentially support projects and script files at the same time. But for probably brevity of this particular stream, I'm going to just assume that you can only do one just to make it simpler. Probably clean this up over the weekend or something like that to make it support various things. It's probably not too difficult, but um, we'll just make it so it's easier to support that way. So let's go back up to here, go back up to project. Let's go ahead and add scripts. We'll say script, and this will be a string. Need to add script here. Sure, Copilot. Thank you. Um, and I know up front I want to support globs. Supports globs, and make sure that we figure out how to use that because I know we have globbing support and other things in our application here. So like right here, we have for excluding files, we have the ability to glob things. So let's do the same thing here. Let's go with let scripts. Let's get the results. Don't need to do a list.concat. Can I just give it a empty, looks like this gives us an empty list here. No overloads. Why is the overloads different? Is this because this is a different, is it because it's unique? Like, why would somebody do this and just pass in script? Or did I just get the syntax wrong? I just got syntax wrong. I don't know. Uh, let's see. So now we have scripts. Let's see. I got a list here. Let's go ahead and do a map on this. So we get a glob. So we have a list of globs. Is that this? Does that make sense? Do we want to have a list of globs? I guess you could technically have a list of globs. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. You potentially could have multiple paths and globs. Globs are notoriously hard to get like additive support for, so maybe you have different sections of your code base. So okay, I think that makes sense. Um, let's see. Oh, I got a question here. Is the pervasive use of async because this project predates task? Yeah, pretty much. And there's really no performance benefits to using task in something of a context like this. Like we're not running hundreds of HTTP requests. Like we're running a couple calls um, that are slower than any overhead that async or task would change. So there's no real benefit to changing any of that. So now we have scripts. Let's see, how does these get used? Because I don't know how these end up getting used. Maybe the solution is to just not use these and not make this a glob up front, but let's see, where does this get used? Run project. Let's go to files, try find. Okay, so we have a is match. Okay, so we're not actually doing like any expansion with this glob, or does this glob allow us to get set expansions? It does allow us to get expansions, I think. There's a static, that's a public static on there. So let's see. If I do, be nice to have this in a script to iterate on this. But let's see. If I have a glob of, sure. Do I get, is this actually like an enumerable itself? Can I just do 4x and glob do some work? No. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Is this that's the pattern? That's an is match is empty and enumerable. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll support gloves later. That'll be for another day. I don't feel like figuring that out right now. Say we just have a list of script files. We come down to our giant pattern match here. Currently, we're going to just support um, I guess it doesn't matter. I guess we could support both. Guess let's go with a slightly more sane approach, I think. Um, because this is going to start getting crazy if we go with a bunch of other stuff here. So I'm going to say project options is not going to be part of this match anymore. Looks like this is going to be when Raj ups. So whenever it's not empty, and then otherwise none here, we'll just assume that we want to do some project paths, project ops. This rule will never be matched out because we want to do it up here. We'll deal with the very intrinsicness of which things to support later. All right, so project options are here. So let's also just say we want to support scripts. So there is one thing that I know we have to do. We do want to be able to actually get the project file, because like basically whenever you actually have a script file, um, F sharp, the .NET FSI will generate a project file for you. You may have seen this in some error messages. Typically, you don't notice it. It's pretty transparent to you. But to be able to get that project file, we need a checker. And so I'm sure we have a checker somewhere in here that we're generating. Let's see. We have a document source, and we type check a file here. So it looks like let's go ahead and see where we create this. We may need to expose this higher up somewhere, or we just have an F-sharp checker that we have access to at the CLI level. All right, cool. Where does this get used then? Let's check this out. So we use this in run project and some parse things. Okay. Perfect. This means you already have access to this. So this is a lot less work than I was hoping for. Um, so down here, where we're running our projects, let's go ahead and say script or get project options from script. And so this is going to take a file name and an iSource text and a bunch of other stuff that I don't think we necessarily need. So when we take our scripts, we'll do a this .map on it. We need to not only get the script, but we need to get an iSource text. And so where do we probably get an iSource text somewhere. source text of string, and this is the file content. So it looks like we do this. Hoping that I can just tie myself back into the run project code path here, but we'll find out in a bit. So we basically need to run this, which I'm just gonna synchronously do this all because it doesn't really matter at this point. Get the script, we get the source text. This is a sync call, so we're gonna get sync run synchronously, let something, I don't know, what is this something? This is a tuple of options and diagnostics. And so I think all we want to do right now is pass up the options. So we'll have script options here. This would be good to use potentially later. These diagnostics, we should probably surface these at some level, just so you get an awareness of why I couldn't create a project from your script. But we'll handle the all the error cases and unhappy paths. That's something I'll clean up later. I just kind of want to get through the initial scrub of this. So we have a list of loaded projects and a list of these. So if we have all these projects, I guess we have some ways of like exiting and error logging. So maybe if we get some diagnostics that are kind of bad, we should consider that. But now we have the list of loaded projects. Let's say loaded projects. Let's say this is going to be scripts and loaded projects now. And we'll see if this just works. This will be interesting. So if we want to run this, let's do a .NET build first, just to make sure we didn't do anything too crazy. Do want some some project to test this against. So we do have this file, which is an option analyzer. Let's say we want to create a file here. This is going to be bad option usage.fsx. We'll create some value. We're going to do, yes. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Copilot's all very happy about trying to help me out here. This should create one. We'll find out if it does. Now, to run this, let's go take a look at our documentation here, because I think we have this exact thing. So we have this as our main shell thing that we want to run. But now, let's go ahead and word wrap this. We don't actually want to run against the sample project. We actually want to run against a script here. So this will be script dot samples, and what did I end up calling this? Bad usage. So let's do copy relative path. And because Windows with file paths is awful, and then the analyzer path is going to be the option analyzer itself. So hopefully the option analyzer is already built. It looks like it is not. Is that the case? We don't actually build it. We build the test analyzer. We build, but we don't build the analyzer itself. Well, let's go build that, I think. Samples, option analyzer. Let's do a release build because that's what it looks like it was trying to use in our path here. All right, let's see if this does anything. Samples option analyzer bin release does not exist. Where does this end up? Oh, it ended up in artifacts. Oh, we have some artifact thing happening, huh? I know there's some like MS build out views out artifacts output. Okay, so this has changed. So look at that. Our documentation is wrong. That's why I couldn't find it. But it looks like it's here. Okay, so let's copy the relative path here. Let's make sure that this works. And then go back and fix all the stupid pathing that Windows generates. And if this works, oh, I'm in the wrong path. Did I?
There's just a space missing before verbosity.
Aha, thank you. I was like, yes, it's some obvious syntax error. Thank you. All right. Look at that. Boom, we got some error. Cool. Could not find part of path samples bad option usage. Directory not found.
We're doing dot samples instead of dot slash samples, I think.
Aha. Look at all that. Thank you. Thank you for all the help. Woo! Look at that. Already works.
Oh,
Incredible. Okay, so two things. Got to fix the documentation because this is just wrong now. So let's see. Let's see. Against a project, and then we'll have against a script. We'll have shell. We'll dump this out and then see that. Why are we mixing file paths? What's going on? Stop mixing file paths. Bad, bad, bad. Bad, 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 bad. All right, and then the analyzers is actually here. It looks like instead of here. So fix both of those things. So now our documentation is correct. Now let's just run this just in case, because this is supposed to actually run against itself. Aha. So it does. Yep. So it does run against itself. And if I run this, all right, boom, we did it. It has been done. All right, so let's see. let's go ahead and just make a small commit that does this, because there's some changes here that aren't particularly amazing, but we have to figure out how to make certain things mutually exclusive. So it looks like FCS arg should be mutually exclusive with either of these, but either of these could potentially generate lists. So that'll be fun to think through. And let's go ahead and say basic FSX script support. Oh, luckily this was a lot easier than I was hoping, or than I thought it would be. And then this is let Copilot generate some terrible message. Cool. Glad I burned a forest for that message. Yeah, I'll just commit that and just go ahead and push what I have. Okay. Well, we do have about 30 more minutes. So let's see if I could figure out how glob support works or how we're supposed to use globs. Where does this even come from? It comes from the glob assembly. So what is this glob package? I am not familiar with this, so let's figure this out. So do I have to provide like a initial path if people don't? Is that how this is supposed to work? So I need to like providing a route path, that's going to be the fun part. So how do we, I guess this doesn't care if it provides a route. Providing a route path is always going to be the problem. It's always going to be wrong. So uh, hopefully I get that right though. So if I'm going to get globs, let's say I want to say glob dot files, and I need to give it basically a directory info or a working directory. Oh man, this is the annoying where am I? How do I know where I am problem. I have a I'm gonna go to here real quick because I have a I think I have a gist quite literally to try to help solve this particular problem because I run into this way too often. Um, let's see. Um, Current directory, yes. Let's figure this out. I guess I'll create, I don't know, where should I put this? I'll put this like right up here, right above main. How about that? All right. And we'll do some work here. Let's like create one of these. And then we'll just do the very boring. Let's print these out and see where I live. Oh, come on. What else you got in here? And then Copilot figure out the last one. Yeah, yay, thank you, Copilot. All right. So let's go ahead and run our script again. Let's see if we get some printouts of. All right. So yeah, this is why I have this little helper here, because look at these three different paths. There's so many ways to kind of like know where you are, and it's hard to know. I never understand which one is which, to be honest. This is why I have this little helper to kind of tell me where things are at. Because these two currently, the app domain and the app context, um, reside at where the executable lives. But the current directory is where like someone's just executing from. So I'd assume this is the correct path that we would want to use for the root um, based on kind of like how people would want to use this tool. I think an aside, one of these switches based on like which assembly loaded your DLL. So like if I ran this particular directory, one of these from like a library call, so like particularly like here, like if I ran the code in here, one of these would still be the analyzer CLI, and one of these would actually be like the SDK, like DLL location. I think. I think there might be being a fourth that does that, so I don't even know if this includes all of these locations. But based on what we're kind of looking through, I think current directory makes the most sense. So I'm going to just use this. I'm not going to use the whole thing because we don't need that whole thing. That's just more for debugging purposes. Say current working directory. Say blob.files, current working directory, and I guess you would want to potentially script get all these. So let's do list.map. Say is rooted. That's a good idea, actually. Why not Copilot? Sometimes you have good ideas. Otherwise, let's get the current working directory, and then we'll just create. It'd be interesting if there's like is there a way to like know something as glob? Because technically then if something is rooted, yeah, how does this library ever even support like globs that are rooted? Like how would you even do that? All glob expressions no longer support this, so we have to support these. Interesting. But it doesn't look like they have a way of supporting rooted blobs. Okay. Well, that's going to be fun to deal with. I'm going to say if you've used a root, I'm assuming you have a full path that you want to use. Otherwise, we'll do the and this returns a IEnumerable file. So this turns into a list collect, and this is a C.to list. And now we have all the scripts we could ever want. All right. So if I wanted to run this again for the script file, I think I could just do this, right? This should give us what we want. It did not. So let's do the very fun thing, which is just debugging. I don't care about a file exists. I just want to know what it thinks these are, if there is anything, to be honest. Or do I need to actually use like a different type of glob? Can I not just use like star fs? Doesn't seem like it picks it up at all. So like, what if do I have to do something like this? I do this. It still gets nothing. And this ends up not thinking it exists. Of course, globs is the thing that I get stuck on, right? Is it quite literally because of the freaking pathing? Do I have to like flip the path separators? Or can I, maybe I need to do directory info or something like that? Should I do, oh, this does give me a list of file info. So let's do list.map. I don't know. I don't know why this glob library doesn't work. It's kind of really, really, am I really that bad at this? Like, what's going on here? Let's see. I guess I could just try this glob files, but I don't see it. That looks like it's the same example, right? Maybe I shouldn't use the dot slash. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I should be using dot slash. Is that quite literally my issue? Yes. So then if I use script, or what was it, examples, samples. Okay, so it was the dot slash. Hmm. So now I get to do a little bit of, I'll just do that. about that. Let's see what happens when I put my dumb dot slash in it. No, I need to escape. Oh, we don't get nice coloration. Boo. I don't know. This message could be cleaned up. I'm not sure how we want to do this. Does anyone have any ideas? Would you rather fail fast or would you rather just log out a warning?
I would fail.
Well, we got one vote. That's it. That's the solution. Actually, this is more like a log fatal, right? This isn't a log error. This is a log critical. I guess that's what I guess we're going for. Yeah, this is more of a critical. Um, we probably have exit one. How many times do we have exit one? Come on. We need to actually have better error codes. Come on. All right. I don't like this. I'm fixing this right now. This annoys me. Never. I don't like having the same error codes. Um, I'm gonna say 20 for now. Can I just do that? No, I have to put int around it. Okay. Can I put like an implicit? No, I can't. If I put implicit, that won't work well. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Okay. No, this is the wrong one. Uh, this is wrong place. Don't do that. It's fine. Here we go. This is where I want to do it. All right. Better, better, better. All right. I guess the problem is we potentially still could be letting people with a dot, right? Like, how do I know something has a glob? Do I just consider having a star in it globable? Do I have to look for that? Is that the only, is that really the defining feature of a glob is having a star?
No, the table also shows question marks and
Um,
more.
okay, so what happens? I guess you don't need the dot slash then. So what if I do this then, right? So um, what's if I give it the exact file path, does this have a good time or does it have a bad time? That works. But it does feel strange to need this in some cases and not in others. That does feel weird. Feels like a weird usability problem, but hmm, I'm really gonna do the to do. Did I spell that wrong? The Dodd. There we go. Well, I think this will be at least all right for now, but yeah, it's like a is glob function. No, I know something is a glob. Oh yeah, so this just hasn't been done. Okay. This is why I was struggling with their API because they don't do this. This is the way I expect. Okay. Oh, 3 years ago. This is dead. Dead in the water. All right. Oh, globs are weird. All right. But I do think that's still pretty good place for now. This I don't end here. Don't care about that. All right. What is adding globbing? Yep. Cool. That sounds good. I'm also going to do this because this is a pet peeve of mine. Let's see. Can I get program on both sides? Hopefully no one's utilizing exit one. The space. All right. Let's go see where this is. So this is failure to load project. Interesting that I did this because I keep forgetting it's an enum. Enums, I think, have requirements on that, right? DFSRs. Got a Copilot helping out. Missing property value. Okay. Time and S. Oh no, I do not want sticky keys go away. And this is Arch. Let's see, Copilot. Yeah, Copilot. Thank you. Figuring it out. This is the kind of boilerplate I love an LLM for. It's great. Anything else? I've had a tough time figuring out what's useful for. All right, so what is this one failing for? Unknown verbosity. All right. Unknown logger verbosity. Analyzer could only be listed once. Okay.
It's actually listed multiple times, the error.
Say that again? I'm not following.
Well, the error is that
Uh,
it was listed multiple times, right? It must be listed only once.
oh, yes, listed multiple times. You're right. I should have used rename. That would have been smarter. Okay, what's this? CS args combined with MS build properties. Why not? Could not load Sharp Core assembly version. I mean, these are also, yeah, for the most part, these are about making sure that we have distinct error codes. So at least it's a little bit easier for people to figure out where something failed. But this is technically something that should go in a separate pull request. Let's say project and FSRs. No, what's this one? Invalid project argument. Man, I almost made it. It doesn't really matter what the order and stuff is of this. I don't really care. I just want distinct error codes. So we do use some interesting numbers for failed assemblies. Okay. -3. If check So this is failed assembly loading. Let's make it a little bit more descriptive. This is, so what's the difference between has error and check? So these are getting analyzer messages, and then there's an analysis. So this is like an analysis failure. Was an analysis failure. Actually, don't even know what this does. Okay. uh, no data associated with that. Okay, so this is going to be like analysis aborted or something. This will be -4, it looks like. That's what has error is here, right? Now this is and this is the and bound error. This be -2. Okay, come on. Don't want any of this. Stop adding stuff. So annoying. And then I guess why not for brevity? Good enough. No, it's tangential, but that's something that bothers me when you have more than like 2 exit codes, especially when they're sharing exit points. Like if we only had exit codes down here, I would probably left it alone. But the fact that we have exit codes all over the place and they're using the same exit code everywhere, no, that's not something I can. That's not something I can do. Can't deal with that. All right, cool. Well, this is a surprisingly successful event today. This was kind of good. Let's see. Does anyone have any other questions? I don't think I see anything in the YouTube chat. I don't see any other questions in Zoom chat. Well then, I think we'll wrap this up then. I will say did nicely go pretty smooth today, which is pretty good. So just as a reminder, if you want to come and be part of Amplifying F Sharp and kind of do a session, you can come to our website, amplifyingfsharp.io, and click on Join Us Today. And you'll be able to see this particular session eventually on YouTube. The live session will be up pretty much immediately. I will be uploading a HD version later, and then that will go into our HD section on our channel. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great day.